Good morning, guys. It's Rick in here with XLeads, and today we are going to talk all about ARV. I've already started off some of your questions. So if you have a question about something maybe you want me to do and help you out with, I got pulling lists, doing comps, stuff like that. Just go ahead and put a note in there. I appreciate you guys being out here. It's nice to be back from Orlando, and we have a lot to go over. So without further ado, introduce yourself in the comments, put it in there. I got to be out at just around 11 sharp. So let's get down to business. So let me share my screen. Let's see here. Share screen. Perfect. Okay. So I will put myself down here. Well, actually, let's just put myself off to the side. Nope. Nope. Wait a minute. I'll figure this out. Okay, perfect. So put your questions in there. Perfect. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate you guys being out here. So I think we're into our third month in XLeads. And before I get into it, as you guys know, we have some exciting things that are going to be released. That is going to happen at the end of November. So that's all I can tell you with it. You're just going to have to trust me on it. If you were out in the Flip with Rick live event, you know exactly what we're doing. Let's just keep this under wraps between you and me. And a lot of you that are Flip with Rick Plus, you have access to the beta right now to help us test some data out and stuff like that. So now let me go ahead and, okay, I'm sharing my screen. Perfect. So first of all, I'm just going to simply, if you have a question, put it in the comments and I will go through and address each one of them. That is the beauty of this channel, is to help you, because very few people will go live and give you instructions on how to work the software. So today we're all talking about ARV and how to pull comps, which is real simple. So if somebody has a comp they want me to pull, please don't put in like a deal that you're working on, you don't have under contract, because that would screw everything up. Or I can just share one. I'll give you a minute and you can do that. So I'll answer a question or two. If you have a comp you need help, we'll go ahead and run it for you. Make sure it's something that you can share with everyone, that I'm not screwing you up if I do that. So Kish asks, how do I change my AI zip code for the month, for this month? You can change it once every 30 days. So I've already told you, take advantage of at least 12 of them. You do it in a year. How do you do it? You reach out to the customer support. There's a phone number or an email that you can send it to them. But keep in mind, you can switch once every 30 days without any additional charge. Yes, there's a cost to doing it. So just figure out when you did your monthly plan or however you did it, wait 30 days and just call that number and you can switch it, or you can send an email if you want to do it out of convenience. There's also a chat box that you can do it as well too. So, yes, you can comp. Patrick says, hey, can you comp land? And actually it's yes. The problem with Landlow is it's more of a mystery, because there's less comps to support it because it's just raw land. So sometimes you get in areas it's not that great, but this is your superpower when it comes to wholesaling, because a lot of homeowners don't know what the value of the land is, and you can actually get better deals doing it. But one of the easiest ways I like to do is just take the tax assessed value. I'd still run your basic comps and it'll give you a range. It's never, ever going to be perfect. So, okay. Troy says, I bought the X plan. I don't have access to Flip with Rick. Do me a favor. Send me an email to support@flipwithrick, and I'll get in there and fix that for you today. I'm not sure how long ago you signed up. It should be automated, but if not, we will get it fixed. Send that email, support@flipwithrick, and put in the title X plan, and then like Flip with Rick. And it should have done it automatically. You got an email. If not, I'll get in there today with Zach and get it straightened out for you. So I appreciate you doing that, and you need to get the full advantage of it. So let's go through and let's talk about comping. So first and foremost, we go back to the dashboard. I know I go through the basics on it. So you can either click property leads or come over here to lead pipes, and you'll see property leads. These are 1 and 2 in the same buttons. So I go in here and then we can just simply, we can pick, actually, let's find something new. Let's do, Little Rock, Arkansas. I've always wanted to know. Little Rock, Arkansas. And let's just pull let's just do this. Let's just do a simple absentee owner, and we will exclude active listings. Real simple search. Let's see how many properties come up. Wow, 20,168. That's a lot. So let's do this. Let's go ahead, and I'm showing you how to do some of the list filters. I'm going to put tax delinquencies in here. It should shut it, knock that number way down, 1,056. So I'm going to pull up the results. Now, this is perfect. You're doing it virtually, you're doing it locally. It doesn't matter. And then you're going to have all your lists, however you want to do it. So I look at this one that is just lit up with every beautiful tag you can see. And I'm sure its wholesale score is close to 1,000. And we got liens, we got foreclosure, we got tax delinquency, we got government tax liens, absentee owner, and vacancy. Good Lord. So I'm going to click on that. I know nothing about Little Rock. I've got to use XLeads to figure out what the ARV is. And if you're asking me, hey, Rick, what the hell is ARV? It simply stands for after repaired value. Actually, when I originally did this, I was told it was, what was it? The actual retail value, kind of like if a price is right. I've heard people say it's the as is value. So let's get clarification on this because it's important. The ARV is the after repaired value. It is the property's potential. I can't stress this enough. The word is potential. Its highest and best use. Now, a computer can only see so much. So let's dig through the data and figure out how we would do this. Now, this thing has, this thing was listed on MLS, which is a really powerful feature in XLeads. You can tell they already tried to fish this thing out, and they listed it. Ready? Look at this, 82,676. Obviously, it didn't work. And you even have the listing agents. Now, you can call and try to backdoor it. I would skip the real estate agent and go straight to the owner. But for potential purposes, what is the ARV? It's real simple. If you go down the XLeads, you see that retail number. It's going to say 112,676. And if you need further definition on it, it will explain exactly what ARV is. I'm not going to overly bother you on that. But basically, the potential of this property is around 112,000. Now, what I'm going to do from there is you can go into your comps. So you just go up here and click the comps button. Remember, I know nothing about Little Rock, Arkansas. So this is the value in like an XLead software because you can go in and you can figure out the market. Now, it does take some time and it does take a little bit of energy when you go into a foreign market because we don't know what bad areas or bad streets. I mean, listen, I've got a property was sold for $5,000 on this list. So I have another one sold for $2,000. So I already know this is going to be a rough neighborhood. And these properties are a little bit different to figure out. Honestly, seeing numbers of 2,000 and 5,000 and 39,000, I'm already going to be suspect on this property of what it's really worth. And what I would want to do is figure out what this property rents for and figure out a cash flow, because trying to split hairs and comp this type of property is probably not going to go well because it's such a low end property with so many issues. So here's what I want to do. Now it doesn't give a rental estimate because configure. Now we have the pictures here. And we can it's just one picture. And I can see a sagging roof line on here. But who knows on it? It's got some good size square footage. Can we get a rental estimate on something like this? And it's zero for a reason. They can't figure it out. So I would want to go in and figure out what is the rental rate. The fact that XLeads won't give you a rental rate is not a good sign because they're having struggles trying to figure out what that's going to rent for. So let's go to back the list. And let's just pick, let's do another area because this seems like a really rough area. So let's figure, let me see if you guys have an idea on here. Okay, let's do this. Let's just do we'll do Palm Beach. I typed in the wrong section. Duh. Okay. Let's do Port St. Lucie. There's plenty of comps, hundreds of thousands of homes. And then I'm going to run the same report, tax delinquency. I get 379. So this is my market. I know it well. And I want you to look down is we have, here's a perfect one. Tax delinquent. I have no idea on this address. And here's, so once again, this one. Now this one has the rental rate on here. And simply, if you want the ARV, the idea of XLeads is to simplify this process so you can quickly move on a wholesale deal. So the retail rate is going to be $448. The rental range is basically $2,900 to $3,500. And then this would be a target wholesale price. Keep in mind, XLeads does not have X-ray vision to see inside the house. That $448 is if the house is in very good shape and it is ready to go on like MLS or something like that. Now, understanding most of the properties we view are not in this condition. So basically, I'm going to take the 448 and start with that number. So when I'm talking to my lead, I know that's its highest potential. So if they start telling me I need 475, 490, 500, I know we're way off the mark because obviously I'm going to target and try to get it below 300. So here's what I want you to do. Once you do that, just click into your comparables. And this is where a lot of you guys get like all over the board. Now you got one or two ways. You can show the map here, which is really cool. So if I click on a property, it will highlight exactly where it is. So the first thing I want you to understand is if you look at the filters on the tippy top. Now, notice this has it set on the amount of baths. And you can set how many bedrooms you want. So if I look at the selected property, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So I want to compare apples to apples. I want to have at least 3 bedrooms and I want at least 2 baths. This will do some of the heavy lifting for you. And so you can set the parameters. Now, I'm going to walk you through the 4 basic things you need to understand when running an ARV on the comps. Remember, we are not realtors. You're never going to get this perfect. I don't want you spending more than 2 minutes doing this. Set your filters. Never go outside of a mile. And honestly, in a perfect world, you would do 0.5 miles. Why? Proximity is the #1 criteria when looking at comps. If you go too far away in a rough neighborhood, like we're over in Little Rock, Arkansas, you could be in a rough neighborhood and you could have a nice neighborhood a quarter of a mile away. So proximity is everything. Remember, we don't see it, and we have to understand how to do that. So I like to go down to 0.5 miles. And if you want, the next part you want to do on this is the square footage. Now, I don't really care about this as much. Why? Because if you look over here, you click this little button to hide the map, it'll tell you the difference in the square footage. Now, if you want to set your filters on it, set it right here. So if you notice on our lead house, it's 2,000 square foot. So I would set a minimum at 1,750 and a maximum at like 2,300. But keep in mind, when you go inside XLeads, it will tell you what the difference is right there. So I got that filter set. And then you can do like lot size. And then the other thing is proximity and date. Depends on what type of market you're in. Some of you are in markets right now that are withdrawing and pulling back because it's going to take time for these interest rate cuts to change. We have a political change in environment. A lot of people are sitting on the sidelines. I like 6 months. If you really want to dial it in, go to 90 days or less. So I changed this to 90 days. If you're struggling, then switch it to 6 months. If you go 1 year out, you're fishing too far, in my opinion. What sold for a year ago and what sells today is a completely different story. Now you can do lead types. I wouldn't touch that at all. Do single family homes. And then year built, I just leave it alone. Now, notice this house was built in 2004. I don't want to comp houses from like 1950s and stuff like that, which leads me to the next one, which is going to be the year the thing was built. There are sections of Port Lake, St. Lucie that they're older types of houses, like 1960 and before. They are not comparables. You don't want to do that. So once we set the filters up, that shouldn't take you more than a minute. And then you go through, you can either select all and get a number, or you can go through and manually check the box. Now, the only other type of thing sometimes I will look at is you can go in here and do extra deals. Now, if this property doesn't have a pool, then I want to click ones and make sure if they have a pool or they don't have a pool. But I'm not going to get into the weeds on that. That's the only thing that can change it. So if I like this property, so if I look at everything on there, 1712, it's a little bit smaller, 0.4. I like the ones that are the closest. Now, see these little arrows up here? You can change the prior. I always want to do by nearest proximity. And I look at the square footage. That one's good. If I look at this one, square footage is good. And the idea is you can't pick them based on the number. This is where you all get in problems in ARV. So notice this one, Parish, I'm coming down here. It sold for $275,000. It's sold, but the AVM is going to be at 418. And we're going to have to look a little bit deeper into that one. Let's say we click that one. And so what I like to do is I take out the highs and the lows. So 377 is going to be the low. The high is going to be 495. If you're going to be consistent, take out the high and the low or pick them all. So here's what I'll do is I'll just pick them all. You've got to either pick them all or remove the high and the low. What a lot of you guys do is you remove the low and you try to justify your ARV because you wrote the contract too high, and you're going to get problems when you do that. Now, if I go up here, my average valuation, which is basically your ARV, is going to be 436,637. Now, if you go back and look at the property that we are looking at right now, it's coming in at 448. So if I go back to my leads and I look at the number, this is how they came up with the number. So this is a real number. But here's the thing, guys. I don't know what the inside looks. So your next step is, once I have an ARV, we basically have a part of a math problem. Once you know the ARV, then you have to qualify the customer by going through MCTP. You're going to ask them to tell you a little bit about the house and talk about the condition. Simplify this. There's three categories, in my opinion. There's good, which means all it maybe needs a little bit of paint and a deep house cleaning. There's fair, which means it's really worn. It doesn't look good. It's going to need some love. That could be 5 to 10 grand. And then poor means it needs significant structural work, roof, HVAC, flooring, the whole 9 yards, maybe a new kitchen, new bathroom. And that one, what I do is like to go to freewholesaling.com, and we have a chart on there. It's based on the square footage, and we break it down from good to fair to poor. That's it. Just do a quick number, minus it off of that, and be majorly conservative on your comps when you do that. And that's how I'm going to run a comp. So the AVM, so you know, that's an automated valuation method, model, whatever you want to call it. And you got to understand that that is the number. That is usually the best the property's ever going to be. Now, I'm telling you, if it needs work or anything like that, you've got to understand these numbers are never going to be exact. This is why I don't want you spending 30, 40 minutes doing comps. Once I know what the maximum potential for the property is, the ARV, I know the condition, and then I know the seller's motivation, I make my go for no offer, period. End of story. That's the best way to do it. It's the only way I know how to do it. And if you understand that, you can make any offer. You guys do not want to be realtors. You're not brokers. I don't want to do that. If the property is worth 448 and say, let's just say it's in good condition. Okay. Let me say the property is 448 and it's in good condition. What do you need to get it under contract for? I don't know. I'm going to shoot below 300 because that I know I can get a great deal doing that. But once you start trying to inch up and use your MAO as opposed to your LAO, which is the least allowable offer, you're going to have problems. And I'm just telling you, do not write contracts that you can't attract cash buyers to buy your contracts because you're just going to waste your time. Remember, focus on the seller's motivation. If they want to sell the house, you're literally wasting your time. If they need to sell the house, you just got to get past a trust issue. How do I do that? I build a rapport and I demonstrate trust. And number two, you have to connect with them. And the last part of that is you actually have to solve their problem. Listen, and people, we're not here to fix people's like perfect case scenario. So say it's worth 448 and it needs $20,000 worth of work. They're like, well, just give me 428 or 425. No, you will make absolutely no money. In fact, you'll lose money and you'll drive yourself nuts. And I don't want you to do that. So you've got to understand when we go in and we do XLeads, it's very, very simple. You simply have, and this is the way we designed it. You have your ARV, you have rental rate. Why would we put the rental rate on there? Because sometimes you need to know what the cash flow is. Like that property I did before in Little Rock, Arkansas, I got to figure out what that thing rents for to figure out even what the sale price on it is. I don't care what the ARV is because that property is old, it's run down, and it's going to be a rental property. So we've got to understand when we do that. Okay, so let's bounce back here and let us answer some questions. So let's see here. Okay. I'm reading questions while I do this. I'm not ignoring you guys. So let me jump on the questions I started with and we'll go through it. So Aaron's talking about pulling a list on the basic plan. So you got to understand there are some limitations on the basic plan because I try to keep the cost as low as possible. So it doesn't have as many features in it for the exclude because that's list stacking. So that's basically the backdoor AI cross-referencing the list and do it. I'm going to be honest with you. When I first did basic wholesaling, I never list stacked for the first 10 years. Number one, it was too cumbersome. Number two, it was way too expensive. And honestly, it didn't matter. Let me let you in a little secret. All these tools we can teach you in XList, a lot of the stuff you guys overanalyze and you overuse. All you need to do is pull your basic list. So what? If 10 or 20 of those are a active listing, they'll let you know and you'll quickly get through it. You got to understand, we designed the basic plan so it's affordable. You got to understand every feature has a cost to it. Now, we might change it as we go down the road, but for me to offer the plans I did for the price I did, I had to limit some of the features. We are open to changing them with feedback from you, but I'm going to be honest, in my first 10 years of wholesaling, I didn't do any type of list stacking and I did just fine. I think sometimes we use list stacking as a crutch. I've never been a big fan of stacking. Like in the beginning, you just need as many leads as humanly possible. I get it. You want to get a list of 1,000 people and you want to get the highest odds possible to get a wholesale deal. And I'm for you on that. But I'm just telling you the value of the cost of putting those filters on. If you just want to get tons of lists, don't worry about it. Like, what are you really trying to exclude? The only ones I always want to exclude are the realtors because I don't want to waste time. Past that, honestly, you can go through an Excel spreadsheet sheet. You can export it and then you can sort through those filters and actually do it manually. It's not like the end of the world. So if you want to remove, but remember, you can use the filters. Let me show you this. Let me take this off of here. If I go inside of XLeads, so we're talking, so remember, I have the full version here because I have to, because I got to show people, everyone's got like different plans on here. But if I go on here and look at a list, you have your standard list. And then keep in mind, you have your full filters list and you can go through and you can sort through like all this detailed information, however you want to do it. Guys, the first 10 years, I never even touched lead stacking. It is valuable in certain markets to me, but in the beginning, I honestly, there's a reason I didn't put it in the basic plan because it's another like $25 a month. And honestly, I just don't think the value is for it there for you. But go through the filters. Let me know if you have any other questions on that. And there's a reason why it's designed like that. Okay, I got to look at your screenshot on that. Okay, let me read through all the comments here because I can't do two things at once. Let's see. Kish says the amount of the XLeads we offer a seller is the max we should offer on the contract. No. So let me pull this up. You got to understand the idea of XLeads is to give you guidance. So if I go back, let me pull up my list here and I'll show you. Let's pull up another random one. Here's a small property. So it recently sold. If I look at this, ARV is $295, wholesale is $192. I'm telling you right now, Krish, if you hit that 192 and the property's in fair to good condition, you'll do very well. If it's trash, you'll probably have to go a little bit lower. And remember, we teach you the go for no method. It means when you make your first offer, once you've built rapport and you've established trust, you go in low. Why? Because you want to counter from your sellers because you want room to negotiate. And number two, you really want to find out what's the lowest number inside their head. So most wholesalers are taught to do it the opposite way. They get close to the MAO, the maximal allowable offer, and you're literally wasting your time doing that because they're going to move the goalpost on you and you're going to get a bad deal. I'm telling you right now, on this property right here, $295, if it's in good shape and you got it like 200 or below, you hit it out of the park. This number right here is basically at roughly a 35 to 40% discount. Why do we put that there? Because when I'm talking to a seller on the phone and they go, listen, I have this property. I got this property in Port St. Lucie. You're looking at, okay, it's $295. It needs some work. It's not in the best shape, but it's not the worst. And I want to move in the next 30 days. Can you come by and take a look at it? Or maybe you're doing it virtually. Now we're giving you guidance. And I'm simply going to say, I'm going to try to qualify the property right there. And if everything goes well, I'm asking them, hey, what do you need to get for this property? So now I have all my initial intel. I'm going to add this to my leads, and then I'm going to go in and put in the notes on it. So once I put it in my lead, and when I go back to my dashboard, where did I put my lead here? When I go under my properties, oh, I added the entire list. Well, I'm not going to go through the entire list because that's crazy. I'm going to go and put in the notes. So maybe they said, listen, I was thinking like, can you do 250? Now it doesn't mean, my God, if I don't get it for 192, I'm done. Now you already know your range is 250 to 192. Your job is to try to close that gap and make a decision. Number one, are they worth visiting? Number two, is it worth writing a contract? It's always worth it. And then I'm going to go look at the property, or I'm going to make an offer virtually and I'm going to do it. The idea is it gives you a confidence score if you're in the right ballpark, because a lot of you guys think if a property is worth 295, you can write a contract at 260 and hit it out of the park. Or some of you hear 250 and you say yes right off the bat. That is not a great wholesale deal. Remember, getting it below what it's worth on MLS is not the mark of a great wholesale deal. So the idea in XLeads is to design where you can easily just pull it up and simply, I do any random property on here again. Because I'm familiar with this property. I might have bought this property. 344, wholesale's 223, 224. I go in the comps. I've already got my filter set. I'm going to find the matching comps. Maybe I select all because I do the close. And right off the bat, I already know the average ARVM is 360. I'm going to go back and double check my number. That says 344. I'm going to go with the more conservative comp, 344. I'm going to qualify the homeowner, and then my target is going to be right around this number. Now, maybe I pay 250, 260, it still works. I'm telling you, if you hit the wholesale number, you did great. Like, it doesn't mean it's not a deal if you don't do that. In fact, I'm here to tell you, most of you will not hit this wholesale number. It is designed as a bottom line number that you want to target to, that you'll make a lot of money. The problem is it doesn't take into account for any type of repairs or anything like that. And what I would do is I would use the chart inside of freewholesaling.com. So I don't know if you have an area that doesn't show it, but if I go on mine, um, if I go in the comps, now one way, guys, is this screen's, if you look at this, a lot of people, you can sometimes scroll it to the side here, but the easiest way is just to hide this map and then look at the numbers there. So if you look on this on built, the year, and you can organize it by the latest one or the oldest one, but the year built. So to give you the four, really five pieces of criteria you have to understand is number one, well, let me switch screen. I prefer just to be online with you guys, is the proximity. Proximity is everything when you do a comp. Like, you can't compare apples to apples if you go 5 miles over. Once you have another neighborhood, it's a completely separate comp. The next one's going to be the date. So proximity to me is a half mile. The worst case scenario is 1 mile. If you reach any further, you're making up a comp. It's not going to help you when you go to sell it. Promise you. So I like to do proximity a half mile or less. A quarter mile is even better. The closer you get, the more accurate it's going to be. The next one's going to be date. The most important with date is, do I have a market that's either going up or going down? Remember, we're wholesalers. We don't care. We're well below the mark. But you have to know what your cash buyers, their aptitude for buying a property. If they think property values are falling, then they're going to go on the extreme low side. If they believe the market has already hit the bottom and there's nothing but green pastures over there, they're going to try to take advantage of you, and they're going to be ultra aggressive on you. You need to know which way your market's going. If you don't know how, number one, look at your local realtor reports. They do lag 90 days, but it will give you days on market. It will give you the average sale price, everything. Use Chat GPT to help gather data for your area. You should look at your state and you should look at your county. What happens in South Florida has no bearing what happens in Oregon or California. So you can't take my data. If I tell you my market's smoking hot, it doesn't matter. So we have to use tools to do it. In 2024, you have more tools, especially going into 2025, to pull valuations and figure out anything you want. So number one, establish if you're in a market that's either going up, it's flat, or it's massively down. It makes a huge difference how you sell these properties. So once we have the date, as I told you, 90 days is the sweet spot. Why? You want to find out what is the current history going on in your market. You could go out to 6 months. I'm not crazy about it. 1 year to me is a waste of time, especially if you're in a market that's rapidly going down. Some of you guys are in a market that's just holding tight. Remember, all data in real estate has a lag effect. It's not like the stock market. So we've been impacted with these massive interest rate increases, which affects people's ability to get loans and capital. And now they're starting to unwind it. Unfortunately, it's going to take 6 months to a year before you even feel it in real estate. So a lot of us are feeling the lagging effects of real estate. That's fine. This is perfect for wholesalers. Why? It's going to make people make decisions, and it's going to get them excited about doing it. So back to this. So we've done proximity, we've done date. The next thing you want to look at is the square footage. So let me add this back up here. And if you look at this, I like to look at square footage under air. Now notice this will give you a price per square foot. And you also have to understand, make sure you're apples to apples. it's called square footage under air, because sometimes they count basements, they count garages and patios, and you can quickly assimilate from the tax collector's office or the property appraisers what's under air and what's not. You should know in the counties where you're doing business, because you got to get into the weeds on some of these numbers. So understanding that, the next thing we talked about, which I just pointed on the comment from the XLeads customer, is the year built. Now, sometimes if the year built's missing, it just means the data's so old in that county or it's not up to date. But any type of modern house is going to have the year built. And then the other thing is, I like baths. If a property has 2 baths, I want to compare it with a 2 bath. Don't compare it to a 3 bath. Don't compare it to a 4 bath. And here's the difference. The comping between a 2 bath and a 1 bath is like night and day. So if you have any women in your house, you'll understand this. 1 bathroom is tough. It means it's an older home and the bathroom gets a lot of pressure. And most retail buyers are not attracted to 1 bathroom. It is more of an income property. And they're either going to have to add a bath or just deal with the way it is. And for that reason, it will never get the highest ARV. 2 baths is the minimum. Why? Because that's what the fix and flippers want. You know why? Because those are the properties that sell quickly. So in my market, the ideal property is what we call a 322 CBS home. If I go to Oregon, I go to California. If I go to Utah, you're going to have different preferences. So you need to understand what your customers want, because that is the key in understanding how to do it. So, let's check. Let me check on the input filter you're talking about there. Choice. Let me see here. Let me jump back into XLeads. So here's year built. Do you see that filter there? You can set the numbers. You should be able to see that in there. That should not, it doesn't matter what plan you have, you should have it in there. If you don't, do me a favor, just send a screenshot and send it over to our customer service department. The email's in the, it's in the box in the chat number. I won't have anybody in there until Monday morning, but you should have it there. Maybe it's just a glitch. I don't do the coding on this stuff, but it should be there. So, guys, if you have any questions, if anybody needs some help with something, this is the time to do it. Let me see what else we can do on here while we're here. So, guys, I do not like to spend a lot of time doing comps. Why? Because if I have 100 customers, the reality is when we come back, is 3 of the 5 of those people I'll probably write a contract. And the other 95, why am I going to waste my time? If I have to spend 10 minutes doing comps, let me give you a little math problem here. 10 minutes doing comps for 95 properties, that's 950 minutes. That means I got to give up 16 hours of my time. Would that time be better spent doing marketing activities, pulling lists inside XLeads, doing stuff that will make it so much more valuable for me? Absolutely. And that's what I want to do on it. So I want to check one thing while I got it here. Okay, we had another question on here, and it said, I assume this is David. It says, what are the limits on pulling it? I got to go back and check the plan. I believe most of them are at the higher end plan is around 50,000, but we are going to be experimenting and opening it up with some of our new agreements that we have coming at the end of November. So the best way to do it, if you check, because there's 6 different variations of plans and each one has a different limitation. Obviously, the higher the plan is, the more you get. Understanding most softwares, their max is 10,000. So I believe how we've set most of it. Let me check. Let me just pull up here and see. Because we are going to update our sales sheet to put those numbers in. But I believe right now we are at, if you're at the max plan, you get 50,000. And I believe the lower limit plans is between 10 and 25,000. So I believe it's 10, 25, and 50. If not, I'll find a way to get those there. So let me jump back here. I think that's David, right? I'm making assumptions. Give me a head nod on it. Let me know either way when we do that. So, Let me add this, and I will show you. A wrong one. Um, let's see. Okay, let's share screen. David, I'll get you an accurate number, but like I don't think you're going to exceed it. So if it maxes out, just let me know. But I'm pretty sure those numbers I gave you um, are accurate on it. So um, okay, let me pull this off, and then let's add this on here. Okay. So if you guys want to wonder about like how this works, we just talked about XLeads on this one. I can talk about wholesaling all day long. I actually got a couple deals I got to work on today. If you want to know more about it, go to XLeads.com. You can run through how to comp properties. It'll run you through your average cost on everything. And keep in mind, guys, the really cool thing about XLeads is we're the first wholesale company to include a CRM, to include your list pulling, and also include Dispo. Most people are paying on average on a Dispo software around $500 a month. Absolute insanity. You guys don't need to do that. If you want to learn more about it, go over to xleads.com. And these are kind of the basic plans we put on there for you. And this page is about to be updated. We're going to give you more exact information based on the feedback we get from you guys. That's the beauty of launching a software. Me and Zach get feedback from 100% wholesalers, not realtors or anybody else, and we update it. So I'll put the limit on the deal record polls so everybody knows it in black and white. But obviously, the larger the plan you get, the better off. And keep in mind, guys, you can go in, if you do it annually, we push the savings off to you. I don't have an affiliate. Why? Because it's just easier to get it straight out to you guys, and it makes more sense to do it. But keep in mind, with like an X plan, the 229, you get access to me and Zach 4 times a week. You get our DMs, and you get the full use of the X plan software, Dispo, CRM, and the ability to pull lists. And if you join before the end of November, your price is locked in. So me and Zach have made a commitment. Like, we're not like other software companies when we have a massive upgrade. We don't charge everybody the upgrade, just the new customers. So we're all about loyalty. If you want to get into that, my suggestion is to get in there, train on it now, and learn it, and go from there. So if you have any questions, you can run through this. One of the biggest questions is like, you don't have a demo. Here's the reason I don't have a demo. Number one, I don't want to spend time dealing with people's chargebacks and they charge your card $1, stuff like that. Go into xleads.com, play around with it, talk to somebody who has XLeads, get a referral. We have a 30-day back money back guarantee. So what's the point of a 7-day free trial? Like, I'm not looking to trick anyone. If you're all in, you want a platform that does everything, and you want to learn on one platform, and you want the owners of the software company to actually train you, the people you JV with, do deals with. This is why we do XLeads. Well, I have a free trial. I will at one point, but I promise you it's going to be a much higher price point once I offer it, because I have to have another level of employees to sort through all the crap between people wanting refunds and then, is this a legitimate charge? And one of the biggest problems in most software companies is the retention issue. They have an 80 to 90% turn rate. We're looking to fix that. So one of the ways we fix it is you don't offer free trials, because most of those people are only interested in the free part. So if you want the free part, go through XLeads YouTube channel. There's plenty of tutorials in there. Go on Zach Discord, talk to people that are using it, check people out, and flip with Rick. Go to Wholesaling Houses for Real. I just did 4 deals with XLeads, JVing with people inside of Flip with Rick Plus. We did the whole thing through XLeads. Now, let me preface this by saying you actually have to do the work. No software is going to do the work. They're not going to talk to your customers. It's just a way so you can quickly disseminate through information and get to a wholesale deal as fast as you can without going through 10 different programs, have 10 different training programs. And then a lot of you guys are paying $1,000 to $1,500 a month. We offer the max plan with me and Zach in it for as low as $229 a month if you do a prepay. Like, most of the softwares are $300 a month just to do list stacking. So if you're here with us by the end of November, I promise you the value is going to be through the roof. It's up to you. Me and Zach have given everybody plenty of notice, so I don't want to hear anything with that. So, Robbie, here's the deal. People say, "Hey, you're right. It's 3 days," but if you just want a refund and you're so scared about it, like don't buy it. Like that's it. I'm not into. So here's our deal. If people come in to Flip with Rick, not Flip with Rick Plus, to XLeads, and you don't like it, just get out. Like, but what else can I say? If people are so concerned about the refund policy, my suggestion is probably don't buy it. Why? Because once you're refunded with us, you don't get back in, period. Because I don't have time for people to come. There is a significant cost. Every time I read someone, it costs me about $40. So I lose a lot of money on refunds. Yes, so we get refunds when limited. If somebody stole your credit card or something, like I'm all fine with it. So you know how credit cards work. Most of the time you get a 30-day window. We just want you to make a solid decision because refunds pushes the cost of the software for everybody up. That's why these 7-day and 30-day free trials, that's why you have these massive prices on it, because you have to have an entire department on it. So we put on there 3 days. But listen, if you need your money back and you're upset within 30 days, we're reasonable. We're not going to get rich off your software fee. But understand, once you refund, we record the information, like that's it. You can't get back in, because I don't have time for people to come in and out all the time. This is 90% turnover rate in the software industry for wholesale specific. It's because they try to get everybody in. And the problem is, if you offer free, a big percentage of people just want the free aspect. They never want to pay for it. And we already offer that at freewholesaling.com. I offer you everything on that. So it's reasonable on there. And I just want you to understand, I don't need the money, but like we trying to keep costs down. So if you have a problem or anything like that, just raise your hand. We do say 3 days, but if you want out, I'll give your money. Like we'll move on. But like keep in mind, once you're out for good. Like I don't play the games like the other companies do. So why we say that is we want to show you we're a legitimate company. I'm the only company that goes on and does these live trainings. We're the only company that has a phone number that we can do. So we try to solve all the issues that most of the other software companies, the lack of training, you get one corporate trainer, then you get all these gurus. The trainers are me and Zach. Eventually we'll bring in more people to help us out, but like we believe in our product so much, we want to help you guys out. And if you're overly concerned with the refund policy, like my concerns, probably don't buy it, because it's not going to magically flip properties for you or do wholesale deals. It is massively going to help you. And a lot of times you have to do this stuff manually to figure out what the value is in it. So if you think there's value, that's great. And you can do that. So Jesse says, hey, can you go over a basic plan? The one that I got annually, and I'll go through it real quick. And we got a couple minutes to get that done. So let's go ahead and do that. So let me add this back up. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's stop that. And let's present. So here's what I would do, the basic plan. This is my idea and the concept. Me and Zach came up with it. And I want you to understand this. So you got to understand your biggest focus when you start out doing this is going to be to generate leads. So I'm always going to go to property leads, and let me put it on here. Just Lee, if you want to tell me a market or a zip code you're in, I'll show you actually how to pull it and do it. If not, I can demonstrate a random market and show you either way. I'll give you a minute or two if you want to type that in, because this is the beauty of this track. What other software company is going to do this? Go live with you on a Saturday. Number one, the product's extremely important to me. And number two, I want to let you know I always stand behind it. So, okay, 79424. Let's try it. Up. 79424. So it's spinning and thinking. So that is going to be a result of around 20,000. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start all over. So first of all, the first thing you do is you're generating these, you're using the basic plan to get leads. That's what you're doing. And you got an amazing price on it. 49 bucks is half what everybody else does. And you have a CRM built into it. My only focus on this one is you've got to pull lists. So you have to decide what type of list you want to do. One of my favorite lists right off the bat is you can do vacancy. And these are properties that are marked from the United States Postal Service. You have 80 properties that are already vacant. And then one of the things I'm going to do here is, as I said, I'm not overly, did I mark it? So I'm going to pull up those results. Now, listen, these contact ones, these like an investor deals we're playing around with, you don't want to buy deals from other wholesalers right now. It's just not your cup of tea. Don't do it. So what you do is you have what, 77 leads right here. And they're going to give you all sorts of tags, whatever you want to do. Now, what I would do is maybe I'm going to go over and do property valuations. And what you want to do is find out what your average median price on these markets. So I'm just going to take a look here. I see 125, 225, 518, 207, a lot of 250s and below. So whatever your average median price is, I'd put it like a little bit below. And then I would put a max of 250,000. Why? Because I'm going to try the best odds to get me a deal. And so when I run that cut it down to 31. And so now these are within the target market, what I want to go. And then you have everything on here that you pull. Now you could go through and hand pick them. I do, but basically you can do them by distance. You can do them by, price. You can do it by square footage. But honestly, I'd either do it by distance or basically the price on the property. But once I have that, you can click the download and you can start your marketing. And like, let's just take the top one here. 226 is the ARV. 147 would be an ideal price. So if I want, I can add this to my leads. And I can go on my leads. And then if I want to click on that, yeah, that's the property. I got a lot of leads in there I put in there. You can go in and you can do whatever you want. All the information's in there. So it's your job if you want to just skip trace it. But I would, honestly, I would just geek out and pull every list I can. Now, remember, there's two ways you can pull these lists. Let me get this off the screen here. If you want to do the preset filters that me and Zach recommended XLeads, they're all right here. Period. Now, here's the other one. Let me check this out. Zombie properties. Zombie properties is a mix of a property that's vacant and in some sort of foreclosure. Now, you get 0 results. Remember, that's only one zip code. I would take an area, and here's what I would do is, let me see where it is again. So you're in Texas. So one of the things you could do I'll show you the other way you can do it. Listen, the whole idea of the basic plan is to get leads so you can get deals. Anything else, in my opinion, is that you have a CRM, you can do some other things in it, but like you're going to focus on getting deals. So if I go over to Dallas, Texas, which is that area, and so you can go in, you can zoom in, you can switch, you can go to satellite view. I like the map because you can figure it out. So say you're going to do like the southwest part of Dallas. I did an event out in Dallas, but like what I would do is I figure out the zip codes I want to do, and maybe I'm just going to do this section right here. I'm doing an outlying area. You can draw it out. So maybe you go, okay, I know it all the way down to I-28, and I go down to like this area. Once I complete it, then you can get real granular and you can run your list that way, which is what I love to do. So now I have, what do I do with my box? You have your area. And I like to segment my zones, and then you can run it, and then it'll give you all the leads within that box. So you see how it just focuses on that box? Then you can do a lead count, and you can do the whole thing that way. But my whole deal, and then if you want to go up here, is you can go through and you can create your own lead filters. Now, what I would do is go to freewholesaling.com. If you just want to pull high equity leads, which in my opinion is a catch-all to all these, that's one of the best ways to do it. And then one of the most important is I said, I like to do the property valuations so I can figure it out. And then if you want to limit it by bedrooms and baths, but remember, you're not living there, so it doesn't matter at all. Remember, you can pull liens, you can do anything. And then remember, if you're going to do a high equity list, the only thing different in XLeads is your loan to value ratio. It is the opposite of what you learned in, say, like PropStream or anything like that, because you're going to take the loan to the value of the property. And you have to understand that. So what I want you to do, if you do that, just read this little, actually, the lower the percentage, the higher the equity, which is the opposite of how I learned in everywhere else. But it makes sense because the lower the number, the more equity they have. That's all you have to remember. So there's plenty of videos in here where we can show you how to do that. So you're talking about you only have 6 types of leads. You are correct. But remember, you can go in and do the filters. You can adjust them however you want. It's not that hard. Remember, we preset what we do are the basic core leads that we can pull. And to be honest with you, I never really pull the leads. Zach likes to do it. To me, it's cumbersome. It's exhausting. I like to find like the basics of the motivated sellers, and then you can go into the list criteria and change it. Now, the cool thing is we're probably going to update everybody by the end of the year and give you more features in it. The more users I can get, the more I can offset the cost, and I can give you more value for it. But remember, the idea is to pull the most basic list so you can get the biggest amount of bulk. And you got to understand this is how it works. So let me get this off the screen. So Sunset, she came out to the Orlando. We did the Escape the Matrix event, and we'll do one again in 2025. Where are we going to hold? So usually when we do the Escape the Matrix, we keep it in the southeast part of the United States. And we are going to be going to California, somewhere around LA, just south of there. I believe in the spring, I believe April. I don't think May. I think April is what we have targeted on the schedule. So that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be great. So guys, if you want to learn more on how to do this, go over to XLeads.com. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me and Zach or our support team. We have a phone number, we have an email, and we have a staff that actually answers your questions. Remember, guys, we don't do a free trial because I try to keep the cost down for everybody. I'm looking for people that want to commit and work with me and Zach. XLeads is the platform we train on, that we pull all our information and how we do all our deals. And we have so many upgrades coming. If you're in before the end of November, you're going to be a very, very happy customer. You're just going to have to take my trust on this. But understand, I've been doing this almost 22 years. I've been in this business a long time, and I don't want to change it. So guys, I appreciate you. I will see you guys on Monday. Zach will be on his channel on Sunday night, and we'll see you go out there, get some great wholesale deals. If you have any questions, reach out to us on XLeads, and I appreciate you guys. See you.